You've ruined my day. I'm calling the cops on you right now. That's what this entitled HOA queen yelled after I splashed vibrant green paint all over her fancy Bayside brunch crowd. What began as a quiet stroll along the water exploded into a full-blown neighborhood showdown when she crossed the line one too many times. The emergency call summoned flashing lights, split our tight-knit community right down the middle, and finally dragged years of buried bullying into the harsh daylight. This is how a single pail of paint toppled the most domineering figure in our little slice of suburbia. Let me take you back to the start, because this tale is downright explosive, and you need every gritty detail to grasp how one woman's ego trip flipped an entire block upside down. I'm Michael, a 38-year-old web developer who works remotely from what I believed was a serene Bayside enclave in suburban Michigan. I relocated here 4 years ago, drawn by the calm bay views and easy water access. Every dawn, my loyal Labrador, Max, and I would wander the public shoreline path. The bay sparkled like polished glass, framed by towering pines and a pebbly strip that the HOA supposedly kept up for everyone. Or so I assumed. Turns out, Elizabeth Harrington, our iron-fisted HOA chairwoman, had her own twisted rules about who got to bask in that beauty. Elizabeth was the type who wielded her title like a weapon. In her late 50s, with impeccably styled auburn hair that defied the humid bay winds and eyes sharp as daggers behind her designer frames, she patrolled in her gleaming black SUV, always under the speed limit, eyeing infractions like a hawk. She occupied the grandest mansion overlooking the bay, complete with lush hedges that screamed old money and a private pier that screamed exclusivity. Our first clash hit on a crisp autumn morning. I was lounging on the public pebble beach, Max splashing in the shallows while I nursed a thermos of coffee and jotted code notes. Her stilettos announced her arrival click, click, like a countdown to chaos. "Pardon me," she said in that polished tone rich folks used to dress down the rest of us. "I'm Elizabeth Harrington, HOA chair. This bayfront is reserved for elite gatherings and sanctioned uses only." I was stunned. I'd pored over the bylaws when I bought in no mention of restrictions. "I thought this was open to all dues-paying folks," I replied, keeping it civil despite the twist in my gut. Her lips curved in a smile that chilled me, glancing at Max like he was trash. "Officially, perhaps, but we preserve a refined vibe here. You get it." That should have screamed red flag, but I brushed it off as a quirk. Weeks dragged on with her popping up like a bad habit, dropping veiled digs about upholding standards and avoiding nuisances, her gaze always drilling into Max and me like we were invaders. Then the signs appeared, ratcheting up the tension. One foggy morning, a fresh plaque staked in the pebbles. "No pets allowed. Private bay access per HOA directive." It looked legit, but the edges were sloppy. I phoned the office. The assistant, Linda, sounded baffled. "No board approval on record. Talk to MS. Harrington." The real gut punch came the next week. Elizabeth threw a lavish Bayside soiree, tables laden with silverware and crystal, her elite pals barricading the water. Her voice floated over, loud and smug. At last, our exclusive bay, without those pesky distractions. Her cronies polished ladies in pearls, born into privilege chuckled, oblivious to the sting. Max whined at my side, sensing the fury boiling in me as Elizabeth shot me a triumphant smirk, daring me to erupt. That night, my neighbor Harold, a 68-year-old ex-professor who'd weathered 2 decades here, knocked with worry etched on his face. "Seen this before," he muttered, sinking into my couch. "She targeted a gal named Sophia, who filmed it all, but Elizabeth's attorney scared her off 3 years back. She's purged families with kids, pet owners, anyone clashing with her snob vision. Turned this into her fiefdom." His words ignited a fire. Why should one bully dictate our lives? The next day, defiance surged. I planted myself on the public grass with a novel and chair, Max leashed nearby. Elizabeth strutted by with a friend, stage whispering. Some folks ignore limits, squatting where they don't belong. Minutes later, sirens wailed. Cops rolled up, hands on holsters. "Report of shady surveillance," the veteran officer grumbled, eyeing my book like it was a bomb. I explained, showed maps public land. They sighed. "You're good, but we log it." Elizabeth peered from her balcony, grinning like a victor. The violations piled on, Letters about ecosystem harm, menacing pet conduct, misuse of green space. Each on official paper, signed by her. Linda dodged my calls. MS. Harrington's call. Crushed, I packed boxes one evening, tears soaking Max's fur. She's stealing our home, I whispered. Harold returned with the dossier photos, notes of her reign of terror. Sophia's tape vanished when threatened. But you could end this. Sleep evaded me, rage building like a storm. Dawn broke, resolve hardened. I whipped up harmless, washable paint green and red. Kid-safe stuffed-o redo her sign. Open to all. But arriving, I froze. She'd commandeered the bay for a posh brunch. Ropes and signs screaming private affair, blocking everyone while mocking aloud. Our bay, free of riffraff at last. Her guests sipped mimosas, endorsing her theft. Something shattered inside. I marched forward, hoisted the bucket, and unleashed a cascade over the pristine setup, paint drenching linens, delicacies, gowns, and Elizabeth's pristine ensemble. Chaos erupted, shrieks, tumbling chairs, shattering stemware. Elizabeth, dripping green, howled. 911. Assault. Vandalism. Send the army. Same cops arrived, brows furrowed at the psychedelic mess. I owned it, protest against her tyranny. The bay buzzed with gossip, sides forming. Elizabeth blasted forums with victim tales, lawsuit threats. But cracks appeared, folks shared horrors. Mrs. Thompson's yanked flower beds, Ramirez kids barred from play. Then Sophia messaged, she did this to me. I have proof. We amassed files, fakes, threats, exiles. The HOA showdown was electric, packed hall humming with pin-up fury. Elizabeth, lawyer in tow, spun her sob story with glossy slides. But our evidence hit like a bomb. Timelines, testimonies. Linda cracked. She forced fakes on me. Residents rose, spilling tales. Vote, 42-15, ousted. Elizabeth stormed out, defeated. Healing swept in. Harold took charge, bay reopened. Elizabeth fled, house sold. Sophia returned, we built gardens, bonds. The bully fell, community rose. Was the paint too far, or pure justice? Would you snap like that? Spill your wildest neighbor feuds below. Did they deserve it? Hit like if your team payback, comment your take, and subscribe for more raw showdowns.